Hello and welcome back to the Big Friendly Gardener. Today I'm going to be teaching you the steps to lay a lawn to look like this. As you can see, the turf has arrived. So if you've been watching the series on how to lay a new lawn, you know in the last video I showed you how to level the topsoil and prepare the bed ready for turf. So that's what I'm going to be showing you how to do today. First of all, if you are subscribed, then thank you so much for watching again. If you're not subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button with the notification bell so you don't miss out on any gardening hints, tricks, tips and all stuff outdoors. And if there is anything you want me to cover, then make sure you hit a suggestion up in the comments box. So before we start, as you know, if you've watched the last video, which if you haven't watched on how to prepare the topsoil ready for lawn, you can watch that up there. So in the last video we prepared the topsoil ready for our lawn, which obviously has arrived today. Now I just want to say, if you are planning on laying a turf, make sure the bed is ready, because you've only got 12 to 24 hours maximum to lay your turf once it's delivered. It's really easy to calculate how much turf you need. All you need to do is calculate the width of the bed by the length, times that together, and that will give you your square meters. Obviously when you measure, make sure you measure it in meters, and then just order. Mine was 19 square meters, I ordered 20 for a bit of wastage, but most good turf providers will explain all that on their website, or if you do need a hand, just drop me a comment below. I think I'll quickly show you what we need to lay this turf. So what we need, so first of all we need our turf. I'm using a rye gold turf from turfonline.co.uk. This video is not endorsed by them, they're just the most reasonable people I could find that had the delivery needs that suited me. We need our level topsoil bed ready to lay our lawn. That's all prepared. As I said, we've done that in the last video, so we've got that. Now we don't want to be walking over our fresh bed, so you're also going to need some wooden boards. I've got a plank here as well, so I can walk along the plank and lay my board if I need to. So I'm using the trusty bread knife. Bread knives are brilliant, they're sharp, they don't tear the lawn, they give you a nice clean cut and they're easy to use, and everyone's got one I think. So definitely recommend the old bread knife for cutting your turf. Let's get on to the first steps of laying the turf before we actually lay some turf. So first of all we need to set our boundaries. Now I'm quite lucky, I've got my edging stones for my block paving, and that's where I know where my edges are. But if you haven't watched the last video, then you won't know that I'm actually putting a bed at this side of the lawn. So as I said, on this side I want my border, so I need a straight edge to work to. So what I've done is I've measured equally to the end, I've plotted some nails down in my block paving, and I've put this drawstring for my straight line for this side. So that's the first step, is make sure you know your boundaries. Obviously my lengths on the top half of the drive or the turf is all plotted out for me already in block paving, but if yours isn't, just make sure you've strung out your boundaries like I've done so on this, just some nails and some string, and I've made sure that's straight to the line I want it to, so we know where we're cutting or laying the lawn to. Other than that, make sure you've got your tilth surface. If you don't know what that is, then you need to check out our last video on how to prepare the surface. Other than that, you just need your lawn and some grit and determination to get this done, but it's a really easy job, so let's get on to that now. So before we start, it's good practice to find a straight edge where you want to start laying your lawn from, so you know that the rest of the lawn is going to be square. So I'm going to be using this corner here because I've got a width and a length and I know it's totally square, so I can butt my lawn up to that corner and know the rest of it is going to be nice and straight. So when I get laying the lawn, you'll see what I mean by this. We want to layer it with staggered joints, and what I mean is if one piece of lawn starting here, the next we're going to start at the opposite end, so the joints overlap. But that might not make sense right now, but when you watch me lay the first couple of rows, you'll know exactly what I mean. So I think what we'll do, get the gloves on, grab the turf, and we'll get on with it. Okay, so we got our first roll of turf. As I said, do not stand on the freshly tilthed area ready to lay. So all we're going to do is grab the turf, going to square it up to that edge I was on about. So I'm going to make sure that this line is straight against there, that line is straight against there, and I'm simply just going to roll it out, ensuring that all the edges are squared up. Okay, so that one's out. I'll do this row on a time lapse and then I'll show you what I mean by staggering the joints. Okay, so that's the first row done. I forgot to mention that the joints in the rows, you need to make sure that they're really butted up against each other. If they're a little bit like that, you can just push them down, because we want that joint to be nice and tight. Just if there's any shrinkage in it, it'll help the rolls bind to each other. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the opposite end and roll a piece of turf that way, and you'll see what I mean by the joints then being staggered. So I'll time lapse that and then I'll show you afterwards what I've done. Also, you can see here my string line for my straight edge on the border side, and I've rolled that under so I can still see the straight line that eventually I can cut that roll of turf too. So don't worry about any excess for now, we'll deal with that in some steps later on. So let's get on with rolling the second row out. You should have seen what I meant there by going that opposite way. So they're both kind of that, and you can see there I've got one joint and there I've got one joint. A little bit like brickwork. So that's called staggering the joints, and that's essential for what we want. So now I had excess over there, but now my excess is over there. So we can use the straight edge at the end and trim that all up. I think what I'll do is I'll just do the whole lawn on a time lapse and just get on with it. Okay, so the whole lawn's laid out. I don't know if you've realised that I've got one piece here that overlaps quite a lot. The reason why I've overlapped this edge one onto that one is because I want this edge to be nice and clean, and to go along and cut all of that could affect that nice straight edge. So what we're going to now do is go along and cut along this piece of turf and remove the bit that I've lapsed under it. I hope that makes sense. All we're going to do now is cut along the edge of this piece and remove the excess piece that was flapped under it. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, hit me up in the comments and I'll try to explain it further. But I'll just get on with that now quickly, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I mean. So that might have been really difficult to see, but basically what I've done is this piece here that is now only this wide was as wide as the rest of the turf, and I've retained that nice straight edge and the full width there, and I've just reduced that. I've also cut along this line. I'm going to show you how to do it now for a better straight edge. So if you grab your straight edge, obviously I've got the string and I could just do it by eye, but if you grab a straight edge and cut along that, you can just lift that away, and as you can see, that's that bit cut now. So all I've got to do now is go around the rest of the lawn, cut all the bits that are overlapping my nice borders, for the edges, and that's pretty much it. All this excess turf, if you're not going to use it anywhere else, it's great for compost. Just lay it grass side down in your beds or chuck it in a compost bin, but it's great for compost. So I think what I'll do now is I'll go and cut the rest, and then I'll show you the final step to making sure that you get the most beautiful lawn possible. And the last step is definitely the most important, so stay tuned. Let's hit another time lapse. So there we have it. All our edges are nice and straight. Obviously got that nice curve there that I'm going to have some plants and a little border. All the joints are nice and tight. We've staggered the joints. We've laid it on a nice tilth surface. So this lawn has every chance of being a lovely, healthy lawn, but there's just one step that we now need to do. This step is imperative, otherwise all this hard work is wasted. Water. Now what we're going to do is absolutely drench the grass. You want to be watering it for a good 10 minutes, absolutely drench it until it gets to the root. Now an easy way to check whether it's got to the surface is you can peel back some of the edges and see if they are wet or not. So basically I've got to wet this whole lawn to make sure that that soaks through, even through to the tilth. Absolutely soak it, because you've got to remember this lawn has been harvested and it's probably not had water after being cured here in about 24 hours. So we need to do this step. This is really important. I think I'll run to a time lapse of me watering the grass, and then I will tell you the best healthcare tips to make sure your lawn survives and the processes for the first mow and keeping it watered. Okay, so I've really watered that for around 8 to 9 minutes. I think what I'm going to do is it's penetrated the edges but not the centre, so I think what I'm going to do is just chuck the sprinkler on it whilst I'm tidying up, leave the sprinkler on for about 10 minutes, and hopefully that will get that lawn drenched and give it the water it needs, enable for it to grow. Okay, so let's talk about aftercare, what we need to do daily to keep this lawn alive, bind to the ground and survive. Okay, so what I'm about to tell you is the most important steps for your new lawn. If you forget this, then you might as well chuck your money away. So if you've got a notepad and pen and you want to jot it down, that's fine. I'll leave it also in the description for you. So you want to be watering your new lawn for at least 10 minutes twice a day. You don't want to be doing it when the sun's at its highest or hottest, where it can burn or scorch the grass. So I'd recommend early in the morning and late in the evening, perhaps after your dinner or something like that, but leave the sprinkler on it or get out and sprinkle it for at least 10 minutes every day. Step number 2, don't walk on your lawn for the first 2 weeks. Now I say the first 2 weeks because technically after 2 weeks it should have started to bind to our tilth and our layer, and you should be able to mow it. However, do not be tempted to walk on it, and if you've got a high traffic area, maybe a lazy postman or neighbours that just walk over it or drive over it, then fence it off, rope it off, do whatever you have to. Do not let any traffic on this lawn for 2 weeks. I spoke about the first mow after first 2 weeks. Now 2 weeks is just the guideline. If you come up to your lawn and it's still lifting on the edges and it's not bound to the surface, do not mow it. Wait until it's perfect, and also don't mow it until the grass sprouts are around 8 to 10 centimetres, and when you do mow it, only take off the top third. So if you've got 10 centimetres, take it down to 8 centimetres to be safe. I spoke about that tip in 5 tips for a healthier lawn. If you've not seen that, then make sure you check out that video. Those tips will also help you grow your lawn. So I've got water twice daily, no traffic, first mow advice. Don't be tempted to chuck any fertilizers on it. If you've got a pre-lawn fertilizer mixed in with your tilth, that's fine, but don't go chucking any more over. If you see yellow spots, you're probably not watering it enough. If you see shrinkage, don't worry about it. Put some compost down and seed the areas that may need a little bit of attention. But don't be chucking loads of chemicals on your new lawn. I'd probably wait until next season to do so, or at least 8 to 10 weeks of that being fully bedded in, and maybe after like the 4th mow. Now I am going to do a full aftercare video on your new lawn. I'm going to cover the first mow and all of that stuff. And the best way to make sure you don't miss out on that video is to hit that subscribe and the notification bell. I make content for you guys, so I'd really like your feedback in the comments. Hit a like if anything in this video has been useful for you. If you do have any questions at all, I'll endeavour to help you. Just hit them in the comments and hopefully we can help you. I'm going to chuck the sprinkler on now for another 10 minutes, tidy up, and that's this video done. If you aren't subscribed, you can click this ball to subscribe. If you've not seen my last video on how to prepare the bed ready for lawn, you can watch that one here. Have an awesome day, guys. I hope this has helped. I'm Jack. That was the Big Friendly Gardener. Have a good day.